Okay, think about the last time you actually tried to change your life. You probably bought a new self help book, maybe listened to some online gurus, or made a massive New Year's resolution. But did you actually define your final destination? Well, in Thomas Athalia's 12 Steps to a Good Life, we get this incredibly vivid, totally uncompromising picture of exactly what life looks like after consistently doing the inner work. We're talking about the 12 promises of recovery. And this isn't just some nice theory or a wishful thought, it's a guaranteed destination. So I want you to imagine just for a moment waking up entirely free from that low-level hum of anxiety that usually kind of defines your day. Imagine facing a really complex relationship issue, or maybe a sudden massive hurdle at work, and instead of freezing up or endlessly second-guessing yourself, you simply know what to do. Your responses are clear, they're measured, and they're completely intuitive. According to the framework we are diving into in this explainer today, this level of clarity absolutely is not a daydream. It is entirely within your reach. We will comprehend the word serenity, and we will know peace. Just let the profound weight of that specific promise sink in for a second. The author emphasizes that this is a guaranteed outcome of these 12 promises. It's a very specific reality that materializes when we are actually willing to look inward and do the necessary work. But, to get there, we really have to face the elephant in the room first. And that elephant is what the author calls the perennial struggle. It's that deep, utterly exhausting inner conflict running through pretty much every human life. It's the constant tension between who we currently are and who we desperately long to become. It's this endless tug of war between our desires and our fears. And how do we usually try to solve it? Well, usually by trying to micromanage and control absolutely everything and everyone around us, almost always with disastrous results. I mean, think about it. We try to control the entire universe when most of us can't even control our own daily screen time. We honestly believe we can control the universe, but the author basically equates this to living in a fragile, mirrored bubble. We just bounce around in there, totally beguiled by our own fiction, constantly generating anxiety, fear, and self-pity. The absolute second reality doesn't cater to our demands. We essentially throw an internal tantrum when traffic is bad or when someone just disagrees with us. The alternative, though, is radical. It's surrender, peace, and acceptance. But bridging that massive gap from illusion to reality, that requires a pretty terrifying choice. And that choice is step one, admitting that life is unmanageable. Now, actually scratch the idea that this is waving a white flag of defeat. It's not. It is actually the most courageous step you can possibly take. In the context of our journey, this is the ultimate call to adventure. You step right to the edge and realize that life is simply too magnificently complex for you to act as its general manager. You let go of the illusion, which, ironically enough, frees you to finally manage the only thing you actually can control, yourself. Einstein famously noted that you can't solve a problem with the same mind that created it, right? Your existing beliefs and your current attitudes are kind of like a tiny, rigid box. If the solution was inside that box with you, well, you would have found it by now. To experience real, fundamental transformation, your consciousness has to shift. You literally have to open the lid and pull in new knowledge from the outside. And that opening of the lid is what kicks off the action phase of our journey. So instead of getting super bogged down in the minutia of all 12 steps right now, let's look at this through the lens of Joseph Campbell's hero's journey, because it maps perfectly. You leave your comfort zone by admitting unmanageability. You find allies by seeking higher guidance. You face the dragon in your own cave by doing a really honest inner inventory. And then you return transformed by making amends and cleaning up the wreckage of your past. It is a highly structured, totally timeless path of real inner work. And this brilliantly illustrates the core mechanic of the entire process. The universe isn't going to magically rearrange itself to clear your traffic jams or make your boss friendlier. Instead, you change. Your perception and your reactions transform. When you do the inner work, the outer world you experience every single day radically shifts, simply because you are no longer reacting from a place of fear. And as you complete this cycle, you finally arrive at the ultimate reward. In the hero's journey, this final stage is called the return with the elixir, bringing back a healing balm for yourself and for the world. In this specific framework, that elixir is explicitly defined as the 12 promises of recovery. And these aren't just vague hopes or, mere aspirations. They are specific, guaranteed markers of a completely new life. So let's look exactly at what this new reality entails. First up, We are going to know a new freedom and a new happiness. We will not regret the past nor wish to shut the door on it. Imagine that. The heavy, crushing weight of your history, the mistakes, the shame, all those burned bridges, it's suddenly lifted. You just stop running from it. Instead, you realize how your darkest experiences are actually the exact tools needed to help someone else who's struggling. Your past literally becomes an asset.
Furthermore, you know that nagging, hollow feeling of uselessness or drowning in self-pity? It will completely disappear. Your focus undergoes a massive shift here. The exhausting obsession with self-seeking behavior just slips away and it's replaced by a deep, genuine interest in your fellows. You move out of that fragile, mirrored bubble of isolation we talked about, and you step boldly into true, meaningful connection.
Then we get to this one. Fear of people and of economic insecurity will leave us. I mean, wow. Think about how monumental that is. So much of our daily, perennial struggle is driven by social anxiety, wondering what everyone thinks of us, and financial terror, just constantly worrying if we're going to have enough. This framework promises that by aligning your will and doing that internal inventory, these massive boulders are lifted right off your shoulders. You simply stop fighting reality. Which circles us right back to our opening thought. We will intuitively know how to handle situations which used to baffle us. All those exhausting mental loops, the endless pros and cons lists, and that paralyzing indecision, replaced with clear, intuitive action. Because you've stripped away the ego and all those false narratives, you finally see reality as it actually is, and the right path forward just becomes naturally, intuitively obvious. And finally, we will suddenly realize that God is doing for us what we could not do for ourselves. Now, whether you call it God, the universe, nature, or simply a higher power, the result is exactly the same. You finally recognize that you are supported by something far greater than your own exhausted willpower. You are no longer floating all alone in that fragile bubble. You are actively, safely participating in the reality of the universe. Now, I know your cynical side is probably screaming right now that this sounds like a complete fairy tale, but the text is uncompromising. The authors literally ask, are these extravagant promises? We think not. They might be fulfilled quickly or they might happen slowly, but the absolute guarantee is this. They will always materialize if we work for them. They are literally the inevitable physics of doing the inner work. So the roadmap is right there. The labyrinth is known, and the heroes of all time have gone before us. You've seen the guaranteed outcomes of the 12 promises of recovery, the profound peace, the intuition, the total freedom from fear and insecurity. Honestly, the only thing standing in the way right now is you. So the real question isn't whether this journey works. The question is, are you finally exhausted enough by your illusion of control to surrender, do the work, and actually claim your good life?